The Permanence of Realization, a dialogue between Gopala Bhatta Goswami and his disciple. A soft twilight spreads across the dust-laden trails near the Yamuna. The gentle rustle of Kadamba trees whispers secrets of bygone Leelas. Gopala Bhatta Goswami, aged yet radiant, sits beneath a flowering tamal tree near Radhakunda, absorbed in silent remembrance. His favorite disciple, Raghunandan, a tender-hearted young renunciate, approaches reverently. Raghunandan asked, "Gurudev, may I ask a question that has troubled me ever since I began this path?" Gopala Bhatta Goswami ji, smiling, eyes half-closed in divine absorption, replied, "Ask, child. This path is walked not only by the feet, but also by inquiry born from the heart." Raghunandan asked again, "They say self-realization is the goal, that to see the self, the eternal soul, is to be free. But Gurudev, is this realization permanent, or can it fade, as dreams do after waking?" Goswami ji, turning his gaze gently to the disciple, replied, "You ask not with your lips, Raghunandan, but with the longing of lifetimes. Listen carefully. What is realized in truth cannot be unrealized. The self is not something gained, it is something uncovered." Raghunandan asked, "Then why do some, even after glimpses of divine ecstasy, fall into forgetfulness? Why does the clarity of one day vanish like mist the next?" Goswami ji replied, Those are glimpses, not realization. Reflections, not the moon itself. True self-realization, Atma Sakshatkara, is not a thought, not a vision, not an emotion. It is isness, the very ground of your being. It is this moment, unclouded by story." He pauses. A koel sings from afar. The air hums. Goswami ji continued, "In this isness, there is no 'I saw Krishna' or 'I realized something.' There is only Krishna, always here, always now. And when that is seen, the seer dissolves. That is moksha. And yes, it is permanent. Because it is not of the mind, it is not a memory, and therefore it cannot fade." Raghunandan asked again, "But Gurudev, we speak of bhakti, of longing, of tears, of Leela. How does this suchness exist within our devotional life?" Goswami ji smiles, eyes shining like the Yamuna in moonlight, and said, "My child, bhakti is not separate from realization. Bhakti is the flavor of that realization. Self-realization is the ocean. Bhakti is the rasa, the taste of Krishna's sweetness within that ocean. When you realize the self, you do not become detached from the world. You become united with it, not as a part, but as the whole. And in that unity, the Lord reveals Himself not as other, but as you in your most intimate, ecstatic truth." Raghunandan said, "So, is realization then impersonal? A void?" Goswami ji replied, "No, never a void. Krishna is never void. That which is void is the ego's false self, the imagined personhood. When that burns away, what remains is Krishna Swarupa, the soul's natural form of loving service. It is as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, 'Jivera Swarupa hoy, Krishnera Nitya Dasa.' The soul's true nature is to be an eternal servant of Krishna. When this is realized, not as concept, but as lived isness, there is no more searching. There is only seva and sweetness." Raghunandan, his eyes wet, trembling, he asked, "Gurudev, how will I know when it happens?" Goswami ji said, "You will not know, my dear child, because there will be no you to know. The questioner, the seeker, he will dissolve, and in his place, there will be only Krishna seen in the dust, in the wind, in the beggar and the king, and the heart will weep with no cause, except the unbearable intimacy of love. Silence descends, the Yamuna flows, fireflies rise like stars. Raghunandan sits quietly, tears upon his cheeks, as the words soak into his soul. That night, as the bells of Radharaman temple echoed across Vrindavan, Raghunandan didn't meditate. He didn't chant mechanically. He simply sat in stillness, watching the isness of the moment, and within it, he found everything: himself, his Guru, and Krishna, not as three, but as one eternal dance. Hare Krishna.